You guys seeing a bunch of dots? Say AIA.
Yep, we got you.
Okay. Well, welcome, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm Southern Ellis. I sit in Dallas at HKS, but I'm this year's president of the Academy of Architecture for Health. And Tim and Amy and Jack asked me to kind of give an overview of what's going on at a national level, and really relay that you guys fit into. You're an important piece of the big picture of what's going on nationally. And glad to hear that Denver components thriving, and it sounds like you've had a bunch of great events, and you'll see later in my presentation we're actually coming to you. So hope to meet more of you that I haven't met already later this summer in Denver. So the Academy of Architecture for Health, as you know, we're a part of the AIA, and there's a lot of embedded in who the AIA is. But uh, one part of that is they have a passion for design and a desire to change the world and a commitment to the highest standards of practice. So that's embedded in what we are with the Academy. Furthermore, we're a knowledge community focused on health. In our vision, we have a vision to be the authoritative voice when it comes to healthcare architecture. And we've got a national component and then a bunch of local components that are really the hands and feet, bringing it to local hospitals and communities around the nation. But who really are we? That's a lot of vision and mission. But at our core, who are we and what do we do? You might or might not know, but we are old. We're 80 years old. This year is our 80th anniversary. And so as we started off the year at this momentous 80th year, we took a look back at the past presidents of the Academy. And embedded in all these is a board that walks alongside the chair and the president. But looking back at 1945, Carl Erickson from Chicago, architect, initiated amongst a ragtag crew of architects the Academy of Architecture for Health, what we now know as the Academy of Architecture for Health. It had I think it was Committee on Health at that point. And it seems, if you know much about history, which I knew enough to know that was an interesting year, but that's a really incredible year to start something. 1945, think about what's going on in World War II. And we took a little bit of time early in the year to really ponder, one, what was going on in the world that was the impetus for these architects to initiate the academy, which is our 80-year legacy. So we look back each month, we've been kind of looking at highlights from the year of 1945. Starting in January was the liberation of Auschwitz. The Soviet army liberated Auschwitz and Birkenau concentration camps. Um, and for the first time, the world started to see the atrocities that were happening on the other side of the world, and really this passion for one, unity against evil, and really wanting to join the fight. And so I think that's embedded in who we are. We see in February was the Battle of Iwo Jima, when the Marines stormed the beaches and rose to the top of Iwo Jima, and lifted this American flag, which became a symbol for not only the Marines, but kind of this fight around the globe. And then moving to this month, May, I think it was May 8th, was the 80th anniversary of VE Day. So it's sort of this war in Europe being over. Hitler's been killed, and we start to see kind of the sun rising for the first time. Still battling going on in the Pacific, but war in Europe has reached a tipping point. And it got us thinking about what this the next 80 years will look like, and what will the crew in 2105 be looking back and saying, our 160th board, what will they look back 80 years from now and say about us? And what are we about? So in looking back again at the 80 years, one thing that's held true is that we consistently have been a place for leaders to thrive. So we've created initiatives and committees. We've been involved in starting the FGI guidelines. We've been involved in starting the American College of Healthcare Architects certification, a number of fellowships and scholarships and committees that have spurred on young people into leadership positions, spurred on emerging leaders to lead at a greater level. And we also wanted to kind of highlight how we've led. Again, looking back at that crew in 1945, but there was really kind of a incredible sense of purpose, rooted in bringing hope and healing and opportunity to the world. There was a great deal of intentionality. So it's easy to fill our days with um, Zoom calls and activities and initiatives for the sake of having initiatives, but we want to spend our time on doing what matters and not doing what doesn't matter. Unity, having a unified front, moving in the same direction, having a unified voice. So that's kind of as we've looked at all our committees, how can we really improve on all of these things? Having a good attitude. There's things that happen throughout the year, and from a volunteer perspective, or the national AIA perspective, or a local AIA Colorado perspective, that are hard and obstacles, and having a positive attitude to jump through those hoops. And then kind of foundational for that crew in 45 and crew for us is the idea of being bold, and not letting fear decide what we do and what we don't do, our decision making. So with all that, that was the charge for our board this year. This is our current board. Again, I'm president. Michelle Trott was, I'm not sure if y'all met her last year, but she was the past president, but still sits on the board. Pierce McVeigh will be our president next year, so he's the president-elect. Roderick Walton from Chicago is the president-elect. So we have a long runway here. Steve Templey is our newest board member from New Orleans. Eugene Damastos from Florida. Karthik is in Los Angeles, and Corey is in Tampa. So you can see kind of in red all we have sort of spheres of influence that we're involved in on our board committees. Here's our committee structure. So you can kind of see we've got a number of initiatives. Each of these boxes represents a committee with a leader or a number of leaders. So if you're interested in being involved at kind of a national level, we are always looking to fill positions, and so you can just reach out to me on that. I know Jack's very involved in a number of these committees too, so he'd be a good person to talk to. But say we'll go here. I want to highlight a number of these committees that really represent that being a place for leaders to thrive. So first is Next Gen Committee. Again, Jax was involved in leading that a couple years ago. Kirsten, I believe, is in Denver too. Not sure if she's on, but again, involved in that. Danny is our current chair and will transition at SLS this year, but they've got a number of webinars that they're involved in, and really serve as the front porch for our group. One being that front porch where a gathering ground for young people as they're trying to get sift through getting involved in the academy, but also really that face for the next generation of leaders within our group. So love the Next Gen Committee. We've also a couple years ago initiated a mentorship program. It's all virtual. A number of Denver folks have been involved. Brenda Costello is involved in kind of helping get this off the ground, and is still in leadership. Um, but we've already started our cycle for this year. So if you're interested in next year, look for the call for applicants. But it's around a 9-month program. Each month, we have a topic that we deep dive into, and then you're paired with sort of this subcluster of someone most likely older than you, a mentor, and then there's a couple mentees within that group. And the goal is that you meet with that person consistently over the course of the year, aside from that big group meeting, and really, it could be some people from all over the country, and try to break down those kind of silos that we stay in, either from a local area or our own firm. This really gives you some exposure to people in the industry and a voice that can speak into your career. This is sort of our core team this year. Again, Brenna, you guys might know. And then these are our pod leaders. Some of those you might know. And then these are our 21 mentees from all over the US and Canada. Again, a variety of firms. We try to have some good firm diversity and location diversity in that. Again, that should wrap up in November, and about November, December, we have our call for the following year. So again, our C2C mentorship program, something you can look forward to. We've also got a number of scholarships and fellowships that you might hear about throughout the year. Are the first four on this list we've already selected for this year. But the Tuttle and the GMZ are really focused on graduate students primarily, or just people who have just graduated. And it gives you some funds to do some more in-depth research that we can use as a group, end up presenting at one of the healthcare conferences. The U40 list highlights kind of the best. It's our 40 under 40 award. But each year we select up to 2 people to join our U40 list and highlight them at the Summer Leadership Summit. So those have been selected. The SLS Next Gen Scholarship. We also just selected this, but it gives you a scholarship for an emerging professional to come to that summer conference, which again is in Denver this year. So it might be easier for you guys to get there. And then our Miller Knoll Scholarship will open about July. And that's a scholarship for an emerging professional to attend HCD, which this year is in Kansas City. So if you're an emerging professional, you might look for that one, the Miller Knoll Scholarship, and you can use the QR code to get to that space. Another initiative that we've created to really highlight being a place for leaders to thrive is our HBCU fellowship. Realizing that we do have some gaps in representation in our group. In 1945, I think most of the group was gray hair white men. That has changed, but we really still see some voids in our industry. So the HBCU fellowship highlights and tries to connect with HBCU faculty to attend the Summer Leadership Summit, and specifically the Educators Summit. So these were last year's winners, Dr. Monty from Howard, and then Sean Vance, who is at Temple, not necessarily at HBCU, but that's kind of embedded in some of the criteria that he is doing work with an HBCU. And then the announcement for you guys, our Summer Leadership Summit. This year it's our second year in Denver. And historically, we've been in Chicago, but we moved to Denver just because it's a little cheaper for us to um, host a conference there. We might not be back in Denver next year. So if you've been wanting to attend, this might be the easiest chance you get. It'll be July 18th through the 20th. And at the QR code, you can see how to register. I think registrations are 495 currently, but they go up a little closer to the event. So um, it's in if you've never been to the Summer Leadership Summit, it's conference that we really try our best not to be architects talking to architects. We are going to bring in people that are more peripheral to the architecture field and architecture firms. And try to get a more holistic view of our industry. And so this year, the focus is resiliency in healthcare delivery. So it should be a great lineup. You can see the speakers on that at the QR code link. And I'll follow up with Tim on all these links and just send you guys an email that has the links that you can click into if it's hard doing the QR codes. But again, that'll be July 18th through 20th. That Friday and Saturday are really the programming. And then the Sunday, we're going to tour a facility in Denver, a healthcare facility. And so you can see more information on that and see how you can sign up for the tour. We're also hosting our 80th anniversary celebration alongside the Foundation for Healthcare Research. And it's going to be at the Denver Art Museum. You don't need to attend the Summer Leadership Summit itself to attend the anniversary celebration, but we do encourage you to attend the SLS if you want, if you can. So our anniversary event will be from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Denver Art Museum. It's a separate registration for this event. It's $50. So normally that event's a little more expensive, but we lowered the cost to try to get a bigger party going for our 80th celebration. We're also going to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the foundation. And throughout the event, it's going to be a catered event, so you'll have food, drink, and we're going to have a big auction that we are raising money for research that goes back into those Tuttle fellowships and GMZ fellowships. So hope you guys can make that. And then as you're getting more into the academy and wanting to keep tabs on what's going on at a national level, we've created last year initiated what we call the Spectacle. So it's really a online e-journal that features a specific topic. Our initial one in the summer of 2024, our issue one, went through each committee and highlighted what they do, the leadership. So that would be a good starting point when looking at the Spectacle and understanding the academy. And then throughout the year, I think we're going to try to do two a year. They'll zone in on topics like resiliency or leadership, and so you'll be able to read about that. So that's the Spectacle, and that link takes you to our communications page that has the past issues. And then also our board we've got a call out for future board members. And so if you're interested in applying to be on the board, that this website will take you to the AIA website. It looks like just a general volunteer, but you'll be able to navigate through that portal to volunteer specifically for the Academy board and put in an application. And there's some recommendation letter requirements there and kind of a statement of why you want to be on the board. If you have trouble navigating, I apologize in advance. It's a little clunky. Just reach out to me and I can kind of help you get through that. And then lastly, we hope you join the Academy. It's coming to this meeting is not necessarily a check mark to join the academy. So um, if you are interested in being an official member, it is free. And um, once you become a member, actually your life just improves somehow. So you can go to the AIA.org / AAH, and then there's join this knowledge community. So that'll get you into the system, and you'll get as many emails from us as you want to get by clicking um, different criteria. You don't have to get any, but that kind of ensures that you're a part of our group. So that's all I've got for today. Any questions on what we've got going, or comments from you guys?
Yeah, I think my first comment, Southern, is there an easy way to navigate through, I guess it would be through this AAH site to a description of the pillars of health and a relationship to HCD and all those other types of relationships. I know
Yeah,
you went through it's a multifaceted organization. Obviously, you went
yeah,
through a whole lot there, but in addition to that,
yeah. Let me
any
pull it up.
information on that, that would be a great thing to
Okay,
hear too.
we'll start with the pillars. Is that showing the
Yep,
website?
it
Okay.
is.
So this navigation, if you want to find us, is on our main page, which for the last 10 years I've been involved in the academy, I've been kind of knocking on the door and saying, "Hey, our website's horrible. We need to, this is bad for us when we're trying to attract people to join our group." But the knowledge communities are kind of this community hub by the AIA is where they want our knowledge communities to live. So within those bounds, we're working within them. So the academy, and if you're wanting to learn, say, about the pillars of healthcare architecture, our quick links has a pillar of healthcare architecture. And it in this, that beautiful graphic that's getting updated. Uh, the idea of all of these organizations, as I mentioned in kind of our 80-year history, a lot of these were birthed out of the academy. And so you can see in red for the Academy of Architecture for Health, the foundation was birthed out of our group to really be the bank to fund research. The college was became the board certification that was birthed out of the academy and the FGI. We realized the need to create guidelines, and they spun off and became their own group. NIHD and the Center for Health Design were two that were added a few years ago as peripheral groups, so they weren't birthed out of the academy. But we really saw a lot of alignment in what they were doing and what we were doing. And with all of these organizations, there can be a tendency to create overlapping initiatives where we're um, creating a design charrette, and the college will create a design charrette, and we're like, wait, we're competing against one another. So a few years ago, we created this idea of the pillars to create swim lanes for really what each of us will be responsible for and do on a daily basis. And so you can see for the academy, our goal is really education and networking. Your map feeds, what we've been talking about, a place for leaders to thrive. The college will stick to board certification. Granted, they had a few years ago some webinars that started to spur up, and to the extent that those relate to being board certified and kind of preparing for the exam, that's kind of what they're about. Foundations sponsoring research. The Center for Health Design, there is some overlap in education, but really more heavy on the research side. And then NIHD as the Nursing Institute. So a lot of their constituency looks a lot different than our constituency, but advocacy is something that they're really the distinguishes them different from us. So all of us meet consistently and talk about how we could work together, share each other's initiatives, and prevent some of that overlap that kind of is a tugging point. Um, in terms of the conferences, I think, Tim, you mentioned healthcare design and how we are involved in that. So there's really three conferences per year that the Academy is involved in: the ASHE PDC, which is our spring conference, the Summer Leadership Summit, which we've been talking about, will be in Denver this year. And that's a joint effort with the college, much smaller event, limited to about 200 people. And then Healthcare Design Conference in the fall. Um, and the Academy is involved in really being the authoritative voice, like we talked about. So we help review abstracts. We've got student design charrettes that look a little bit different at HCD and PDC, but really engaging students in a competition or charrette. We have a number of speaking parts throughout the conference. And so some of those sessions you'll see are tagged to the Academy, and try to pull our members into those positions. And so, um, yeah, did that kind of answer that question, Tim?
That was great. Yep, absolutely. Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, great context in, under the lens of the academy, tying each of those groups to the history there. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So before I jump into just a couple of the local initiatives, any questions from the group for Southern on anything touched on? Otherwise, I will steal screen here. Oh, guess I can't steal Zoom.
Oh, sorry. I'll stop sharing.
No, thanks, Southern. Screen two. Oh yeah, so just a couple initiatives for the year, and you were just kind of explaining how I see us in alignment with national. So yeah, I kind of paraphrased from your State of the Academy address at the beginning of the year. Southern want to focus on cultivating a role as a leadership incubator. And so the way that we're uh, kind of organizing our group this year is just really just to support each other in our own initiatives. So, Jack, he set some pretty ambitious goals for the year, and his involvement with the Academy, involvement with SLS, and a new collaboration, a symposium with women in health. So
Hey
that
Tim,
provides,
are you sharing a screen?
uh, did it not go? Oh, I have to hit one more button. There we go. Sorry, everybody.
All good, thanks.
Thanks, Jack. Um, so yeah, there's within Jack's initiatives, there's plenty of opportunities for people to volunteer and assist that lift, or several lifts, anyways. There are, Amy Zimmerman's leading a volunteer event, a quarterly event at Denver Health. Amy, I don't know if you want to touch on that here.
Sure. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So we've volunteered with Denver Health in the past, with their Newborns in Need initiative, which has just been a great ongoing opportunity for probably about 25 years that they've organized this. And so just recently, like I said, in the past year or so, we've gotten involved with them to organize a group of about 10 to 12 folks, anywhere from, if you've got a 6-year-old, if you've got a 14-year-old who needs volunteer hours, they're happy to have them along and join for this service event, where for about 2 hours we are packing these care packages that go home with families with their newborns that were born at Denver Health. And oftentimes these these families are really struggling to get by. So this is a kind of a starter kit for them, and a good opportunity for them to know about resources as well in the community that they have available. And so we are this year doing it on a quarterly basis. And so we have a few events, with the first one coming up on June 7th. And then these are all Saturday events at 11 a.m. So we'll have one starting June 7th. The next one is September 6th, and then November 1st. So we've created an Eventbrite link that we'll send out after today's meeting, so that if you or your child would like to join for one of these upcoming events, we just ask that you reserve a spot so we know that you are coming, since we have a capacity of about 12 people with each session. And like I said, it's only about 2 hours where we're packing the bags and restocking the shelves, and it's just really, really enriching and a good, easy way to spend your time and give back to the community.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. So yeah, a number of us have jumped in with Amy to volunteer for that event, and yeah, just kind of using the group as a launch pad for that volunteer initiative.
That's cool.
Yeah, she's done a great job with that. Here's one of Jack's initiatives, the Women in Healthcare and AAH Healthcare Symposium. This was last year's event. I know there have been a number of meetings to kick off this year, and a couple different strategies. And instead of the the speakers, there's been a number of other formats that kind of explored. I don't know if you want to jump in here, Jack.
Yeah, sure. So we're in the planning stages for the symposium for this year, planning to hold it in October again. We had the inaugural symposium here last October, and it was just a great success. We had 3 speakers in a half-day session at the CSU facility in Denver, and we capped it at 80 attendees. We sold out, and so we're thinking we might be able to make it a little bit bigger and better this year. One difference this time around is we're probably going to be doing it as an afternoon thing. Last time it was like a breakfast and lunch morning session, but we get some feedback that an afternoon might be better, and we could end with a happy hour. So that's kind of what we're thinking so far. But the plan is a very similar format. Same location is our plan. And then we're working on finalizing our speakers right now.
Thanks, Jack. Yeah, and just so, yeah, using the group as a launch pad to spearhead initiatives. One that I've been involved with is community health events. And so for the last couple of years, it's been a variety of panels. One was involved with the initiative of healthcare institutions getting into the business of housing and how that might support their community health initiatives. And a couple other type of variants of that theme of community health. This year, I'm kind of looking to shift away from the panel organization and maybe have it be a little bit more of a brainstorming charrette work session with a couple of, we're exploring a collaboration with some of our past speakers, but everybody's been helping me brainstorm on that event this year. That will happen, just kind of later in the year. And right now, I'm on the planning commission for my local town and the suburbs here in Denver. And I'm looking to tie it to that and really, tie it to a specific development in that community, just to, give it something a little bit more concrete instead of, just the panel speaking events. So that's where we're at. Yeah, the SLS coming up, and Jack's been working on or has put together with his group the tour, community health, and the symposium at the end of the year. And I need to do a better job of getting all of our headshots together for our steering committee. So if everybody wants to shoot me one of those, I'll complete this slide for us. All right, I think that's the end of my show here.
Good work, guys.
Yeah. Any other feedback from the group here? Anything I'm forgetting?
And Tim, we'll send out the presentation and the links afterwards, correct?
Yeah, Southern, you mentioned you might be able to pass around the presentation.
Sure. Yeah, I'll create a PDF of that just so it's a little smaller and send it to you, and then I'll have in the body of the email the links that I mentioned.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Southern, for your time, and thanks for
Yeah.
everybody to make it today. Appreciate everybody's time.
Yeah, we'll see you in July.
Yeah, I'll see you there for sure.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right.
Thanks all.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.